I had a day just before I met Mr. Shove called, "Do not kid myself any more day." Here's where I am after 25 years. Here's what I've got. There's no use Mickey Mousing with the numbers. There's no use trying to stretch it. There's no use trying to excuse it. There's no use trying to paint it some phony color. Let's tell it like it is. Because it's the truth that starts the freedom mechanism working. It's the truth that starts to relieve the mind of all the guilt and all the excuses and get right down to where it is. When I finally discovered that the government wasn't my problem, and that prices weren't my problem, and that it wasn't the company, and it wasn't company policy, and it wasn't my negative relatives, and it wasn't the weather, and it wasn't the economy, and it wasn't the community, when I finally discovered it was me, we call that trauma. Now, after I had passed through the trauma of discovering that it was me and not all the other things I'd blamed all those years, when I finally went through the trauma, now suddenly it dawned on me, hey, if it's me, I can do something about that right away. And then I started getting excited after my trauma had passed. See, if it's the government, I don't give you much chance. If it's prices, I don't give you much hope. If it's other people, I don't give you much of a chance, because I'm telling you, it probably isn't going to change. It's going to be about like it's always been, right? Opportunity mixed with difficulty. So if all those things are going to remain in place the next few years, which I imagine they will, the only change that is really going to dramatically affect your life is you. Mr. Shove said to me, "Mr. Rohn, if it isn't going well for you, you don't say, 'What's wrong out there?' You say, 'What's wrong in here?'" There's a Black Heritage spiritual that says, "It's not my mother nor my father. It's not my brother nor my sister. It's me." What a revelation. But once you find out it's you, that's something you can go to work on this very day. You can start to make a new stretch today. You can start reading some new books today. You can sign up for some new classes today. You can start engaging in constructive thinking today. You can make some life-changing decisions today. See, you don't ever have to be the same again after this evening, only by choice. And while you wait for prices to come down, and while you wait for the outside to change, I would go to work immediately and quickly on the refinement of your own thinking and the refinement of your own disciplines, and watch how quickly the equity of that starts to grow. Now, this is called dealing in straight talk. When a father who's 40 and broke living in this country finally discovers when his children say, "Daddy, how come we're not rich?" If he wants to speak the truth finally, he says, "I'll tell you why. I smoked it. I spent it in small daily pieces. And I didn't know it was going to mount up to be a fortune over the last 20 years. We call this dealing in truth. Straight talk. Tell it like it is. Okay? Next. Challenge. We all respond to a challenge. I don't know a normal human being that doesn't respond to a challenge. From the time we were small, how high can you jump? How fast can you run? How much can you do? Can you win? Right? We all respond to a challenge. So part of the art of persuasion is challenge. Here's one of the greatest challenges Mr. Shove gave me. He said, "Let's go do it." That's the great challenge. Not you go do it, let's go do it. Boy, it's easy to say you go do it. You go change your life, you go be successful, you go make the decisions. But how much better if somebody comes along and says, "Let's go do it. Let's read the extra books, let's make the decisions, let's pour it on. For the next 6 months, let's go full speed 110% and see what comes of that." Boy, what an inspiring thing when somebody says, "Let's go do it." That's the greatest of challenge. Let's. But life is a challenge. What else is new? It is so important to articulate the challenge, the press, the push, because the push is on. But that's what life is all about, accepting the challenge. Driving the roots deep, becoming as strong as possible. Accepting everything that comes and making it into what you wish to make it. Attempting your best, trying your hardest. Thinking well, reading well, living well, struggling with it all. That's called the challenge. But that's what makes life worthwhile. That's where the value is. The struggle for high ideals to make something unique out of your life. I don't know how better to put it. That's it, the challenge.